Hey, how y'all doing? This is your girl Tysheen, and I'm back with another one. So this one is USA states versus countries. So I'm not sure what this is all about. That's the title. So I'm just curious to hear what they talking about. So let's get straight to the video.
The United States is the world's richest country by economy size. It is the country with the third highest population, only behind China and India, the country with the world's most powerful military, and the fourth largest country on Earth by land size. The US was the first nation in history to put man on the moon. It is home to most of the world's most powerful and richest companies, and is unequivocally the superpower of the planet. At the time of making this video, the US's economy stands at a seriously impressive $25 trillion US, higher than China or India, whose population is around 1.4 billion, higher than the EU, which consists of 27 countries, and in fact higher than the entire economy of South America and Africa combined and quadrupled. The US is split up unevenly into 50 individual states, ranging from concrete jungles to deserts to mountain ranges and even a tropical paradise island. So how do the US's states compare to other countries of the world? Well, let's first start off with the big one, the US's richest state in terms of GDP, California. At a mind-blowing $3.5 trillion, California is by far the richest state in the United States by economy size. If California was to remove itself from the United States and become its own individual nation, it would rank as the fifth largest economy on the planet, placing them just above India, again a country with over 1.4 billion people. California's total population is just shy of 40 million, around the same as Canada or Greater Tokyo. California's wealth comes from a variety of sectors, but most importantly from Silicon Valley, the home of the tech corporations that essentially run the fabric of humanity. Decisions that are made from the companies that reside in the state quite literally change the shape of our planet and influence billions of people. At $2.3 trillion, Texas ranks second as the state with the highest GDP in the United States. Again, if Texas were its own country, this would rank them as the 8th largest economy in the world, placing them above the likes of Canada, Russia, and Italy. Texas's population is only 30 million, meaning that the state punches well above its weight in terms of wealth. This 30 million population would rank Texas as the 49th most populated country in the world, yet it would easily rank in the top 10 for its GDP. At nearly 700,000 kilometers squared, Texas is the largest state in the contiguous US. It is completely dwarfed, however, by the US's largest state, Alaska, which is around 1.7 million kilometers squared. Texas is so big that if it were its own country, it would rank as the 39th largest in the world, largest than Myanmar, which is the second largest country in Southeast Asia. New York State comes in third place for the richest states by GDP at just over $2 trillion. This would see them rank in the top 10 for the largest economies on the planet, placing them just above Italy. New York State is of course home to New York City, one of the richest and most expensive cities to live in the world. It is home to banking and financial institutes and is quite possibly the most important city on the planet. At 20 million, it is the fourth most populated state in the US and the second richest in terms of GDP per capita, at over $100,000. This 20 million population would see New York State ranking as the 62nd most populous country on Earth, placing them just above Chile. Vermont ranks as the state with the smallest economy in the US, at just $40 billion, partly due to it being the second least populated, with a population of around 650,000. So where would an economy size of 40 billion rank Vermont in the world? Well, it's not as bad as you might think. It would see them just ranking outside of the top 100 richest countries in the world by GDP, in 101st place, eclipsing the economies of Latvia and Estonia, two European countries with much larger populations. Vermont is also pretty darn small, ranking as the 45th largest state in the US at just under 25,000 kilometers squared. This would rank Vermont as the 146th largest country in the world if it was its own individual nation, placing them above the likes of Djibouti, El Salvador and Belize. Hawaii, which is quite possibly the most dreamy US state to visit or live in, ranks as the 41st richest in terms of GDP at just under $100 billion US. This tropical paradise would see themselves ranking as the 69th largest economy in the world. Alongside Alaska, it is the only US state not connected physically to the mainland. Just 1.4 million lucky people call this state home. This would rank them as the 151st most populated country in the world, around the same amount of people who live in San Diego, California. As mentioned earlier, Alaska is the US's largest state at an incredible 1.7 million kilometers squared. This is large enough to rank the state as the 17th largest country in the world if it was to break away from the US, larger than say Iran, Mongolia or Peru. What's crazy is that only around 730,000 people call Alaska home, meaning that there are around 0.5 people per kilometer squared, one of the most sparsely populated regions in the world. What's even more crazy is that the US purchased Alaska off the Russians in 1867 for a grand total of $7.2 million US, or around 150 million in today's money. Now this is an absolute bargain for such a strategic large piece of land. I bet Putin would dream of owning this state, filled with natural resources, so close to the US. Rhode Island is the smallest state in the US by land size, at just 4,000 kilometers squared. Now this is absolutely tiny. If Rhode Island were its own country, it would be around the 167th largest in the world. For me, Rhode Island is most famous for being the set of Family Guy.
Oh, yeah,
so Peter Griffin, alongside 1.1 million others, called this state home. It is located in the northeast of the US, east of Connecticut, and south of Massachusetts. Speaking of Massachusetts, this is the state that ranks with the highest Human Development Index at 0.956. This is quite impressive, as if Massachusetts were its own country, it would be the 4th highest ranking in the world, only behind Switzerland, Norway and Iceland. On the other hand, Mississippi ranks as the state with the lowest Human Development Index at 0.827. This would place them below Brunei, but just above Russia. Two countries you really don't want to be sandwiched in between. The North-South divide in the US is prevalent in so many ways. There is a clear divide politically, economically and culturally between the two regions. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if one day the country split in half, forming the North United States and the South United States. So what is your favourite US state? Which one would you most like to visit and which one would you live in for the rest of your life?
None. Now let me stop. Y'all can come visit. Y'all can come visit. I'm just joking. Okay, so basically they comparing states to other countries. I get it. It was very interesting video. Very, very interested. Comment below, let me know how you feel about this video, and make sure you check these videos out. And I will see you lovely people. Take care. Peace.